Okay. Hi, I'm Benjamin Delarre, and I'm here today to talk about N.E.S.T., which is our latest work. I'm actually here on behalf of C6 mainly. It's a group of artists I've started working with. And I've been producing this work with Leon Cullinane, who is currently in India, unfortunately, so he can't be here with us today. But he is one of the main driving forces behind C6. He formed it in 1997 and has been doing strange artworks recently. The picture here is of him after 7 days locked in a small box in Brighton, in England, fasting. He's basically been doing performance work and various things, and now we both met up in Sweden on the Art and Technology Masters course there, and we've started doing software art together. N.E.S.T. is it's a rather strange work. We've managed to blend what was the functionality of an artistic work, which is Usman Harak's Japanese Whispers, where he connected I think it was 20 mobile phones at one point together in a ring with receiver to speaker going around in the loop, and the audio would go from one point in the loop all the way around and degenerate as it did as the data was encoded into a digital format and then played back to a speaker and then re-encoded and played back again and again. So we decided to take that sort of slant with the internet, but we decided because it was this distributed network software application, we based the aesthetics on SETI. So we quite like the irony of fusing the aesthetics of the scientific work and the functionality of an artwork. So we started it quite heavily on that. And basically, N.E.S.T. runs a series of, it's a client and server-based application. So every user runs a copy of the software, which connects into the server. And the server basically directs which clients will speak to which other clients. So the server can maintain a ring of users. And through that ring, we use UDP to pass small packets of audio data, which we chop up into about 4 or 5 samples per packet and pass this data around continually in a stream around the network of users. So because we're using UDP, some of the packets get lost, some of the packets get reordered, some of them corrupt, so they're not as many as you'd think. Which basically, in the end, results in a degradation of the audio, which comes from the children's game Chinese Whispers, which we originally based this on. And it has actually been quite interesting to see how UDP and the internet itself affects this file, and how it actually changed the audio, because it was nothing like what we expected. We expected a general we expected just a general loss of quality and little peaks and little pops and noises, but we didn't actually get that, strangely enough, because of the reordering that was the main prevalent factor in corrupting the data. We actually mainly got a jumbling up and a mixed match of the audio, which took our original file.
Order comes chaos.
Which is the layout. It took that and managed to do really strange things with it. And that took about 45 minutes to produce that. And that was with 3 machines, 2 of them in Sweden where we were working, and 1 of them in England. And I think we cycled that about 8 times to get that result, which was kind of strange, really. We really didn't expect it to go into to do that sort of effect. The page here you can see is the blocks represent how corrupted each packet is, how different it is to what it should have been. And I would show it running, but unfortunately it has died recently. I don't know why, but the server won't let me log in anymore. So I'm somewhat stuck for fixing it. But I'll be back in Sweden soon, so hopefully I'll be able to fix it then. But I've got another audio file I can play you. Which is
You might want to just use the wired connection. Yeah, plug yourself in.
Our server's running a little slow at the moment. We've just after I finished N.E.S.T., I did a one-day project doing an ASCII version of Google's image search, and it's become strangely popular recently, and it's crippled our server, which is quite annoying at the moment. So here we go.
Out of order comes chaos.
That was a bit more like what we expected, really, this sort of Dalekization of your audio. But it's been quite interesting to just let this audio fall apart, and I think we've been thinking about possibly using this degradation communication channel that we've got as a means of mutation for genetic algorithms. So we were thinking of maybe doing some sort of genetic algorithm-based work and using that stream to cause this mutation rather than an artificial type of mutation that a lot of GAs enforce upon their things. We could actually get some real environmental effects upon it, which is quite interesting. So I think that's it, really. Any questions?
Have you been able to figure out at all even?
Why?
Well, not just why, but when you mentioned using them to do mutations in genetic algorithms, one of the things that is sort of naive about the way artists and even scientists have tended to use mutation is that it's sort of randomly placed, when in fact it's very much keyed to locations, in the genome. So I'm wondering if there's particular, is there a temporal thing? Is it more likely at the beginning of the stream to mutate? Is it more likely if you send packets faster?
We discovered it was much more likely if you load the connection, when you're loading the connection, and it was quite interesting to see that we actually managed to get a few people in India to sign up, and they were on really, really bad modem connections, and they did actually produce an awful lot of corruption. Very, very quickly, whereas our ADSL streams obviously didn't.
So you could sort of have a throttle on how corrupt things become.
Yeah.
But there's nothing localized necessarily within the stream.
No, it can happen pretty much any time. It mainly seems to be just triggered by load. The more traffic you get through it, the more likely it is to happen. Because we discovered the UDP packets themselves don't actually corrupt. Even though apparently there is no mechanism for checking and making sure in UDP that the packet stays maintains its integrity, it doesn't actually corrupt.
But it could be possible that the system's detecting some kind of feedback and
Yeah.
recognising that as the fault in the system.
Yeah, I've been told by various Linux people that some Linux kernels do the checks and will just drop a packet. So I imagine those UDP packets that have corrupted are just getting dropped somewhere along the line, and that's why we're getting loads more drop packets instead.
I like the way you measure corruption. I mean, I was just thinking if we get a Star Trek kind of teleportation system be nice to plug in politicians into your system and then the corruption levels that come out.
Well, it was quite an interesting thing because we've on the website we've put a lot of stats and we mapped the positions of all the users globally, so that when they register we do a lookup on their IP and then we're using GeoIP to give us longitude and latitude, so we can plot people on the map. And so we've actually got a rating of most corrupted country. I'm not sure who's in it at the moment. Who's winning? Where is it?
So you'll be buying out Transparency International?
Yeah. Yeah, the most corrupted country is England, and the most corrupted is Romania.
Nice new neighbour, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's quite interesting to see. Just it was quite a strange thing to be talking about. Any other questions?
If nobody else wants to ask a question, I'd just like to know a bit more about the C6 network, because I've seen a lot of different projects coming out of it without really observing many patterns.
Well,
How you apply your own software to projects you choose to do.
There is very there is very little connectedness within C6. In fact, I've been with them now for 8 or 9 months. I've only managed to meet one of them, and I really don't know how many people are actually in the group. So it's become quite difficult. But we do basically index everything on the main page, and we've been doing some interesting stuff. Because Leon's Man in the Box piece was probably our most famous. It got quite a lot of press in England, and that did quite well, but just for the sheer sensationalism of it, I think, of locking somebody in a box for 7 days.
I presume you were first and it got ripped off by David Blaine.
Yeah, it was, and it was strange actually because shortly after he did it, a week later, actually did a very, very similar piece, but locked himself in a black box with no lights for 7 days and meditated.
That's the cybernetic version.
Yes, it was kind of a little bit more extreme really, because at least Leon still had the light, you know. But we've been doing a lot of sort of stencil work mainly, a lot of sort of work around London. Reykjavik we've done as well, and just basically sort of anti-establishment things. I mean, one of our most popular work before this and Toogle was the Fuck You piece, which did very, very well. It was so very simple. We just had a phone number and a URL, and we just stick it wherever we could, and people would just ring up and leave messages which, oh no, don't tell me it's not working anymore. But it's a strange thing, it got hijacked by anti-war campaigners. Which is quite interesting.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
It's more interesting.
You know what? That's you.
So these are all just user-submitted images and obviously phone calls.
Fuck you. Fuck you for us. Hey, fuck you for us.
How many people did this?
It was really popular. It worked everywhere, that was the thing about it. It's because we've been trying to do a few of these sort of telephone pieces where people would ring up and talk. And this one did work in every single country.
Fuck you.
But we tried another piece shortly afterwards, which was, where is it? Oh, it's not even listed on here. Leon was asked to Romania, and so we went to do a piece there, and we called it Tell Your Story. Oh, there it is. And the idea was that people would ring up and and tell a story about life in Romania. But obviously the attitude towards making expensive phone calls there was completely different, and nobody did it. Not one person rang. Whereas in other countries it works really, really well, which was actually quite a nice result as a social comment. Yeah.